Hey guys, this is the Smut,
Spice,
and Everything Live podcast. And we're your hosts. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Marie.
And today we are going to be reviewing Credence by Penelope Douglas.
Yes, our taboo story of the month. This might be an okay one to start off with because there's no relationship. Like, there's no blood.
Are there ones with blood relationships?
I'm sure there are. There's a bunch of sick books out there, so...
Because I always thought
they don't know each other. There's no... no relationship is what I'm saying.
That's how I always got by in this. This was my first taboo. And I loved it because I'm just fucked up, I guess. But we listened to it on audio this time. I read it the first time, and reading it, I can omit things. Like, I can just overlook them. It's not in my head. Listening to it on audio, I did get a bit of the ick, and I was like, oh God, stop. It's just the verbiage. It's just the words they use sometimes. Okay. So, I rated this a 3.5.
Okay.
The first time I rated it a 4, but since I listened to it on audio and getting the ick, I had to go down a little.
I rated it a 3.
I thought maybe 3 for spicy.
I rated it like a 2.5, 3.
3, yeah. I was gonna go 2.5, but then I was also like...
The spicy scenes were good, but I didn't feel like they were detailed enough. You only had a couple, like 2, 3 scenes that were maybe detailed, and then the other ones,
it said
more emotional, feel, more emotional description than it was physical. Like, I want to know the girth. I want to know the ridges. I want to know the wetness. Like, I want detail. Tell me that you're feeling it in your gut, like up in your chest.
I didn't think about that. I just think I was like, they had a threesome in this. Like, that deserves a little bit of a higher rating. It was very vanilla, though, otherwise.
Yeah, but even the threesome, it wasn't like, it was just like...
it wasn't crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't crazy.
It wasn't Ryan Rule, because I'm on the third Ryan Rule, and then I'm like comparing these two, and I'm like, this ain't nothing. Like, they didn't do in this. Ryan Rule's got all the details. Like,
it's smutty. It's the smut you want.
It is.
For taboo, like, it's her uncle.
She is his niece, and that's her uncle. However, they had no relationship prior to her coming there at almost 18 years old. She had never met him. She didn't know anything about him hardly. She just knew her dad had a stepbrother. So to me, it wasn't taboo enough. Like, if you had a relationship and you knew this girl when she was younger and she grew up and now you're screwing her, that's nasty.
Okay, yeah. And like, they're immediately attracted to each other, and I'm like, are you guys keeping in mind that you're supposed to be family?
Well, she started saying Uncle Jake to keep reminding her he's my uncle, but then she takes it too far. She took Uncle Jake too far, okay? She made it nasty. And I got the ick.
Same. So, like, you were like, oh God, she called him Uncle Jake. And I'm like, oh, well, she just does that. I forgot because when I read it, my mind would immediately omit Uncle. So she's like, oh, Uncle Jake. I'm like, oh, she's right. Like, I am getting the ick. Oh, God.
There are messages, she probably should have screenshotted those messages on TikTok, where I'm like, what the fuck? She just said Uncle Jake. What the fuck are you having me read? This shit's nasty.
Okay, so, and also when I read it, how old do you think he is? Because I thought he had his kids young. And I'm thinking he's like 36, 37, maybe 40. For his kids to be, I think Caleb's 21.
I thought that he was around 38. And here's why. Because he left at 18 and he searched for that girl for like a year and found her, and then she killed herself. And I was thinking probably gave him a year or two to find somebody. So that makes him 20, has a kid 18 years later. But they're not even 18. They're 20.
I thought they were 21 and 20. I thought, no.
Okay, yes, 20 and 21.
And I thought Caleb was 21.
So in that factor, that even makes him even older. That makes him like 40 something, which doesn't make sense because then at the end of the book is 5 years later and he's 30 something. And the girl that he's sleeping, Mira, is 34. Mirai.
He's 36, I think.
36? I thought it was 34.
And
but whatever. Still like 39 or 40 or something like that.
He must have really had, I don't know, it didn't.
The math doesn't match. But regardless, he had them semi-young. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he still looks good. And there's an attractive quality, even when she's 17, because she's 17 when she meets him. And that, so anyways, she immediately is drawn to him. He's immediately kind of drawn to her, but he has got it in her head, or his head. That's my niece. She's 17. That's my niece. She's 17.
Initially, okay, let's jump into the story and then we'll talk about that. So, Tiernan is a 17-year-old girl whose parents have offed themselves because her dad was dying of cancer and her mom didn't want him to leave them. So
they overdosed. I mean, they took medicine or whatever. They killed themselves. They didn't shoot themselves in the head. Yeah. They died in their sleep. They went to sleep together because they were obsessed with each other, leaving their 17-year-old daughter that they completely ignored her entire life.
It's like they didn't abuse her, but they didn't nurture her. And
they neglected her.
Yeah.
Like
she is majorly fucked up. Like, she doesn't express her emotion. She doesn't have interest in things. And I feel for her. Mirai is the only one that ever showed her any attention her entire life.
She loved her like a daughter.
She did.
She gave her birthday presents and Christmas presents, and she always addressed them from
her parents.
Yes.
But Tiernan knew that it was from Mirai.
Yeah.
So all of these things are happening, and Tiernan is at home alone after everyone leaves.
She's right there on her birthday, so she didn't think that she was gonna have to go with anyone.
Jake calls her and he tells her, like, hey, I'm your uncle. I just got a call from your parents' lawyer, and your parents put you in the will, like, I'm your guardian. And she literally is like, well, at least they mentioned me in their will.
Yeah. And he was like, look, I'm not going to intrude in your life. If you want to stay there, that's fine.
If you want to be emancipated, I'll do that for you. Or if you want to come here, that's fine too.
The way she was on the phone, he's like, do you want to come?
Yeah, well, he was like, I don't mean to make you feel like you can't come here, like you can come here. You're welcome here. I just didn't think you wanted to. It's like, we're all the way in Colorado. We're in this secluded cabin up on the peak.
When the snow comes, we're covered in for 8 weeks.
She's like, that sounds kind of nice. And
she's like,
that sounds great. And Mirai wants her to come live with her. She doesn't want her to go. She wants her to stay. But Tiernan, I think, is just looking for anything to escape her reality.
Never was one to be in the media. And if she was forced into it. And it was only on occasions when people are like, you never see their kid.
It was things for
how did parents
publicity
forget you in a hotel room for days when you were 8 years old?
That's really sad. So she decides to go. When she makes it to the airport in Colorado, she's starting to be like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't know these people. Basically, like, they could be axe murderers. Like, maybe I should get back on the plane and go back.
Because she doesn't know them, like you just said. She has no idea. She's never met them a day in her life. She's like, how am I gonna know what he looks like? Well, he should know me because my face is plastered all over the media right now. But I'm just like, should have been something you should have thought about.
Right? Like, let's have a couple phone conversations before I'm just like, oh, okay.
Right? Yeah.
So, anyway, Jake shows up and she sees him for the first time. She's like, well, he looks nothing like my father. I don't know why I expected him to look like my father. Like, I know they're not related by blood.
I think that's a mental thing. I would have thought the same thing. It's, oh, y'all don't look like each other. It's like, well, you're stepbrothers. It's like Josh and Scotty. It's, oh, y'all don't look like each other?
At all. So when I read the reviews on this book, I'm like, well, this can't be right. She doesn't fuck her uncle. But then she's like describing him the way she does, and I'm like, okay, maybe she does fuck her uncle. So anyway, they leave the airport, they are driving home, and Jake is telling her that they all work from home out of their shop and they build these motocross bikes. And she thinks to herself, we will all be on top of each other all the time, because she's thinking this is a small cabin and they're just going to be in this. They're all going to be.
I didn't think about this. We're going to be on top of each other at all times because there's not going to be enough room for everybody in this small place. I'm going to be taking over somebody's bedroom.
And I'm thinking, are we foreshadowing here?
I had to ask her, I'm like, please tell me that they all don't do her the same time, because that's going to be too much for me for the dad and the sons. And she's like, no, it's separate. I'm like, okay, that might be a little too much for me. It's like, hey, Dad, how is she? Like, what?
They don't cross those lines. They don't cross the dad and son lines, but the brothers do share her one time. And some people are like, ooh, that's gross. Like, that doesn't bother me. My husband would be like, fuck no, that's too weird.
I would also be like, that's weird. I mean, for the woman, hey, that's hot. For the brothers, that's weird. In my opinion, I mean, I wouldn't mind it.
As long as they're not fucking each other, I don't care.
Well, like the DVP, like
they don't do that.
I know, but I'm just saying, if that, it's like that's too far. You are blood brothers with your peckers touching in the same hole. No, not soul brothers, blood brothers. No. So anyway, she gets there and she's like, "Oh, we're fine. This cabin's big. You know, it's plenty of room." So she's looking around and she realizes that she's going to have her own room, and she's very thankful for that. She meets Noah, and she immediately has like, not immediately, I don't want to say that. She likes him, not sexually, but she's like, because she's very quiet. She doesn't talk. She doesn't show emotion. She doesn't do any of that. But she did, I think she kind of did like Noah in the sense that he pushed her buttons. It pissed her off, but I think she also secretly liked it.
I think she related to Noah a bit in the sense that he feels lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been lonely her whole life.
Well, so she goes to sleep. She's like, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. So she doesn't eat with them. She doesn't talk to really anybody. And she goes to sleep. And the next day she wakes up
and opens the bathroom door. And this girl's coming out of the bathroom.
That's right. And she's like, because the girl's young. Yeah. Not much older than her. She's like, is this Noah's? Is this Caleb's? Is this Jake?
She has the thought of, this woman isn't that much older than me.
Yeah.
And then he comes out of the bathroom and she realizes that Jake is fucking her. Like, immediately you know that Jake likes him younger anyway.
Well, you also find out that these girls just randomly show up.
Yeah.
She has been randomly showing up, and he's like, I need to make a stop to it because I wake up to somebody riding my dick. And I'm like, okay. It's like, maybe you should check ID first before you just let him go for a free ride. Because the way this town seems.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Jake takes Tiernan out to start the chores, but he decides that they're gonna take a horseback ride first. And he even asks her, do you know how to ride? And she's like, yes. But then he mounts the horse with her.
He wants to show her the property, and he's telling her nobody has a free ride here. Like, you're gonna be here, you're gonna help, you're gonna work. There's chores for everyone to do. He's like, do you know how to ride? Because I'm gonna show you the property.
But then jumps on behind her, with her.
Did you not find that weird?
I did, at first. Until I figured out how close they'd become.
But if you don't factor in foreshadowing or what you know is going to happen, that's weird. And she was even like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
I felt like that was, for him, he should have been like, she knows how to ride. I need to back off. Why are you pushing yourself on her? I felt like that was not right.
I feel like he's the type of person where he doesn't even recognize personal space.
He doesn't care.
Yes. So anyway, he shows her the peak, the waterfall, and everything, the view. He tells her to ride the horse back down. He's gonna go check. Perhaps or he's gonna hunt or something. And he's like, go start breakfast. And she's immediately like, you fucking prick. He thinks that women belong in the kitchen. So she's like, I'll pull my fucking weight around here, but I'm not going to be stuck in the kitchen until like you're made. But if you want to eat, I need you to eat breakfast.
Oh, no, he tells her, he's like, okay, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to do this? And she's like,
no.
No.
She mouths off to him and she's like, maybe I'll just go back home. If you just want me to sit in the kitchen and do the housework, maybe I'll just go back home. He's like, you know what? I don't have to let you go. Because until I see you laugh or cry or hit something, show any type of emotion, you're not going anywhere. You can be stuck with us for 10 weeks during the winter or however long.
Yeah.
Until you're
of age.
And she's just like, fuck. Like she just goes and does what he says. Because like there's nothing she can do about it. Really. He's her guardian. Unless he signs away his rights. Okay. He's like, you'll turn 18 in 10 weeks, but we'll be snowed in 8 weeks. So, It actually ended up being like, it started snowing on her 18th birthday, and they were snowed in from that day forward. Coincidence? I think not.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Uncle Jake is going to pop your cherry.
You're turning my stomach, though. Like, don't call him uncle. I omitted it the first time I read it. My brain just did it.
Says it to him in the trunk.
I know.
Too far. Far, Penelope, too far.
Penelope, honey, do you need a therapist?
I need one.
I'm
pretty sure I messaged you. I need therapy. They all need therapy in this book. Every last one of them. For different reasons, every last one of them need fucking therapy in this book.
Shout out to the Smut Couch podcast because I listened to their podcast about Credence. Mind you, I genuinely enjoyed this book. I mean, the second time I got the ick a little bit, but when I listened to their podcast, I was like, I must be a fucked up individual to enjoy this. Because they were both, like, disgusted with the whole thing. But one of them, I can't remember which one of them said it, but they're like, do you know what you have to write a book like this? Audacity. Like a audacity. Of audacity. And I just have to say that's accurate. Because, yes.
I mean, I think you just have to give no shits. Like, I had this thought, and I'm going to put it on paper. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. Somebody out there is going to like it, and people have.
You know what? I had this dream about this girl fucking her uncle. You know what? I'm gonna write a book.
But they weren't related. I can't say that they're related because that's too far. I'm going to say that they're step.
Let's not get incestuous.
There's plenty of books with incest going on. Flowers in the Attic.
Truly, I don't want to read that.
Here's what's we're gonna have to delete this, but Flowers in the Attic, you root for the brother and sister because it's so fucked up. It's so screwed up, and then you end up rooting for the brother and sister to be together because of all the shit that they went through. Like, you can see how they have.
And this bitch judged me, and she's gonna text me like, "What the fuck am I reading?"
Look, Flowers in the Attic fucked me up too. Okay, I'm just like, this is not okay, and then I'm like, what the fuck, like, and. You have to, like, if you don't want to read the book, watch the movie.
Anyway, okay. So that night, she starts waking up and having night terrors or nightmares again. And she says that she hasn't had these nightmares since she was, pretty young. She hasn't had them in years. And now all of a sudden she's having them again. She's like, I really do think I need to leave. I haven't had nightmares in years, and I come here and I've slept like shit every night, and I'm having these nightmares again.
Why do you think they started? Because it never says, I mean, it does say, but
it doesn't say why they started or why she even had them.
Mirai said that she started having them when she was younger, and she would sleep in the bed and it would stop. So it was the need for comfort of love is why she was having them.
Yeah.
But I always felt like there should be more to that, because that's just, I don't know. I felt like that was she needs to have something, so let's throw this in there.
She needs to have some type of emotional trauma.
Yes, because I just felt like that was the way it's described. Like, she's gripping the sheets or her clothing, and she's pulling it, and she's gripping it so tightly, and she's screaming out. That to me is not the need for comfort. That to me is a need for something happened to me, like traumatized me, and it was painful, and it's something that I am suppressing because it was very, very bad. Not, I need someone to hold me. Like, if she was curled in the fetal position crying, that's more realistic than her gripping her sheet.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, what was her dream even about? Because it doesn't say.
No.
We don't even know what she's...
I felt like it was just, like I said, something that she needed to have.
In the book, she wakes up and she smells her mom's, like, distinct smell, and she's, like, ready to vomit. And she's like, so she was dreaming about her mother. But it's like, what were you dreaming about?
I thought there was going to be more to that. So I was left a little lacklustering, because I'm just like, okay. I'm like, I wish there could have been something more deep.
Some explanation for why she was like that. Like, were you more than emotionally neglected? Were you physically neglected?
Did they lock you in a room and didn't feed you? Daddy dip in there sometimes? Like, did something happen? Did you get pawed at by security? Like,
yeah,
something. I just felt like mommy and daddy not loving you, her reaction is different. If mommy and daddy didn't love you, I could see fetal position, I could see crying hysterically in your sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, I just felt like that was it just could have been more. So Jake's really bothered by the fact that she doesn't show emotions, and he is thinking, oh, she's drugs, alcohol, cutting, sex, and then when he was like, sex, and then he starts thinking about her in a sexual way, and he's like, stop it, no, she's my niece.
He tries many times. I think that's the first time he's like seeing her that way. And before this, he's just worried about her.
Yeah.
In general, because he can see that she's not normal. Like, he doesn't know what they did to her, but he can see that they fucked her up.
Yeah.
And then he's thinking, where is she going to release? What way is she acting out to deal with all of this trauma that she has?
Right.
And then that's the first time he's like, he sees her like fucking someone in a car all sweaty and hot, and he's like, oh God, stop. Like, that's my niece.
Because he's
like,
jealous of the person in the car.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying. Why am I jealous of this imaginary person fucking my niece?
Right. And I keep picturing her, like, I know she's 17, and some 17-year-olds look 25.
Hell, 12-year-olds look.
And then
18.
some 17-year-olds look 12. So I'm hoping she's the 17-year-old that looks 25.
Especially nowadays.
From the fan art I've seen on TikTok, she looks 25.
Well, she's got the curve, she's got the body. She is model pretty, like her mother, who's an actress.
True.
So,
but my brain wanted to go to like a typical 17-year-old.
Your brain wanted to go to when we were in high school, and 17-year-olds looked like 17-year-olds.
I looked like a 17-year-old when I was in high school.
She damn near looks the exact same. You could go back to high school. You and Levi could both go back to high school and fit right in.
Probably. Okay.
And then this, like the next day or something, this is the first time that Mirai calls because she can't get a hold of Tyrion. So she calls and Jake answers, and this is their first interaction with each other. And it just gets more heated later on throughout the book. But she's saying she wants her to come home.
Yeah.
Mirai wants Tyrion to come home.
She's worried. She went to Colorado to be with family she doesn't even know. And I'm sure she wants her to come home for herself too. Like, she loves Tyrion. She's always been in her life. But she wants her to come home so that she can see that she's being taken care of.
They both make good points or good arguments to each other. Because she's like, oh, and it's just funny that, you'll be sitting pretty having her up there paying for your motocross and your business.
Funding your business.
Yeah. And he's like, well, it's funny that an assistant is still there handling all of her stuff and she wants her to come home.
For her dead boss.
Yeah. So they both have good arguments, and
both of them are genuine though. Like, they both are just both sides concerned for Tyrion. There's no concern for the money.
Yeah.
Jake's like, I don't need his fucking money. Like,
Doesn't
I don't want
it.
Hans's money.
Refuses to take any money. And then she says,
did you know that she used to wake up in the middle of the night at the same time every night with nightmares?
It was 1:15
in the morning every night. And he doesn't know at this point because she's only done it once and he hasn't heard her. But Mirai doesn't even know that she's having them again. She just says, do you know that she does that? Do you know that she needs to be comforted back to sleep? So Jake is like constantly making jabs at Tyrion about her parents, or in particular her father. And I'm kind of like,
which doesn't make sense later on when we find out, but whatever. Why he's got it so much against the father and not the mother, who's the one that actually did it.
I think it's just both of them in general, but I think it's more towards the father because he's the stepbrother.
Probably.
I'm like, her parents just died and you're making jabs at her about her parents. Are you trying to see how she feels about her parents?
That's what I took it as.
That's where
I feel like he has so much animosity towards her parents that he just can't help himself when he sees her because she looks just like the mom. But he also watches her reaction.
He's trying to see. I think he's trying to get a rise out of her, is what he's doing. He's trying to get her to just fight back. And I get where he's coming from. Also, like, can we have a little
compassion? This is when that night, she ends up going downstairs to the kitchen for whatever reason.
She woke up having a nightmare. She was going downstairs to get some water.
Okay.
Or something. And that's when
we meet Caleb.
The shop door is open and we meet Caleb for the first time, who
is carrying a huge dead deer and throws it on the table.
And is covered in its blood. I would be terrified. I would run. And she's like,
oh, this must be Caleb.
This must be Caleb. Hi, I'm Tyrion. No. She just stands there. I think she does say, oh, you must be Caleb. And then he, like, attacks her, for lack of better words. Like,
look, this book with Caleb pisses me off more than any of the other two.
It's rough with him.
And then the ending pissed me off. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm so pissed off.
Because of his comments about her?
That she ends up with him.
I wanted her to be with him.
I didn't.
Who would you want to be with, Noah?
Honestly, I didn't want her to be with anybody. I wanted her to grow some tits and become her own woman. And as far as Caleb, he needed more growth. He didn't have enough growth in this book. The way he treated her, the way he treated everybody, and then it's just like, oh, overnight, oh, I love you.
I do agree with that. I wanted his character growth to be more gradual.
He had none. It was like, no, you're a slut. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it went from, like, 0 to you're my everything, 100%, love you, and now I'm going to talk. I can't stand him.
He hates women. That's why in one of Noah's point of view chapters, he's like, He refers to Caleb's room as a Skid Row, and you don't ever know if those women are going to come out alive or not. like he's obviously got it out for women because of his childhood trauma, and he doesn't trust any of them, and he obviously treats them just like a fuck toy. So we know that Caleb doesn't treat women well. But wow, like you've never met this girl before, you just jump on her. And she's
likes it.
No. She's thinking no. But her body's reacting like, yes. But she's also like, why do I like it? I want it to stop, but why I don't want him to stop. You're like getting serious whiplash from this scene.
I mean, she eventually does start hollering. Noah, that's what wakes Noah up, is they're I guess struggling or whatever. He can hear what's going on, kind of, and it woke him up. And he's like, Caleb,
no, you can't fuck her. That's our cousin. Didn't matter later. I don't know why it mattered right now.
Yeah. She's not a townie.
She's not a townie. That's right. But Caleb doesn't make a noise this whole time. And you find out, like, he doesn't talk.
He's mute.
At all. Like, he can, but he chooses not to.
He chooses to be mute.
Yeah. So, first of all, that's weird. Secondly, the next morning, this thing I didn't understand. I mean, I got it, but I thought it.
No, I didn't. It was super fucking weird.
Well, let me explain it to you. Because I understood why she did it, but I was like, why would you do that?
Okay, let me take it back. I get why she did it, but it's super fucking weird.
Yeah, no, it is. I agree.
I don't feel like it was necessary to add in the book other than just to add to the cringe moment later. I think it just adds to that cringe moment. So anyway.
You're talking about her pretending to shave.
Yes. Yeah. So the next day, I'm saying they're building a relationship of uncle and niece just to later on cross that line. So the next
think they are.
I felt like it. I felt like they were kind of building a relationship. Like,
okay, so she walks into the bathroom and Jake is standing in his towel and he's getting ready to shave, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "We have one bathroom. You don't have to be modest. Like, if you're just coming in here to brush your teeth, go ahead. Like, whatever." So she does. And while she's brushing her teeth, they're having kind of this banter. And he looks at her and he says, "Tiernan, have you had any boyfriends? Do you have a boyfriend back in LA?" And she doesn't answer. And he's like, "Have you had any men?" And she's like, "Hold up, what the fuck? Is he asking if I've ever fucked anyone?"
Because she's comparing Jake and her dad in the sense that she's never had a father or a man worry about her and like is interested in the I want to protect you from these creeps kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. So it was like a father talking to his daughter is how I took it.
To me, it was like, well, I could see that. But also, to me, it was like he was telling her, until you've had a man, you can't consider yourself a woman. And she goes on to pretend to shave. She's making every move he's making. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? I'm cringing. And she says,
because isn't this when he says I have no business raising girls or something?
It may be.
And that's why she was like,
no, I think he says, I fucked up my kids. I have no business raising another teenager.
Okay.
I may not be a man, but I won't always be a girl either. And I think then she just like mic drops and leaves.
It was very weird.
You didn't have to shave.
You didn't have to pretend with the other end of your toothbrush that you were shaving your face.
I didn't get that at all. It was very adolescent.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I thought that it was more of like a father-daughter moment in the sense that he was protecting her. Like, you need to watch out for these boys, blah, 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 which it's not what he says, but that's how I felt. And she was like, you didn't screw them up. Okay, well, I'm not always going to be a girl. Teach me to be a man or whatever. Like, I'm not I'm not a girl. Like,
that's
I
not
can do
how,
other stuff.
Okay. Well, we interpreted that differently because when she said, I may not be a man, but I won't always be a girl either, I took that as, let me fuck someone and I'll be a woman if that's what you consider a woman.
Yeah, no. I took it that way too. I'm just saying,
Well,
saying in the sense that
the way you said it, it came off to me as like, teach me how to do the man chores and I'll be.
Oh yeah, no. That's how I meant it. I am not explaining this very well at all.
No, you're not.
I do think that she was saying that she won't always be a girl, meaning that once she has sex, he'll consider her a woman.
Yeah.
Yes. But I also feel like she was like, I'm not just this feminine, wear dresses, scared of dirt girl. Teach me to do the guy stuff and I'll do the guy stuff too.
That is
like, I can be a badass.
He thinks at first that that's how she is.
Yeah, and she's trying to.
And she's like, you can teach me to do whatever you want to teach me because I can stick it out like a man.
Yeah.
I see it both ways. I can see that both ways.
So, but regardless, it's still weird. You're 17 years old and you're pretending to shave yourself with the end.
Like, and throughout the book, you do see things. Tiernan is very mature for her age because of how she's been ignored her entire life. But you see things come out in her that's very adolescent. Like, it's screams, I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
This was one of those moments, and I was like, if you're going to be fucking him later, can you just not?
She even says it. My parents didn't care what I did as long as I wasn't in the public eye. As long as I wasn't in the tabloids. They didn't care what I did, who I was with.
She thought
there's no videos.
There was a thought in her mind, like, I could have been with anyone I wanted to. I've never had the desire to be with anyone until now. I feel like it's because she's never emotionally connected with anyone.
Yeah.
She comes and they force her to emotionally connect with them. And that's what drives her to want them.
I feel like Noah is the one that she had the first connection with.
She did. Jake, it was
an attraction.
But then he was he was trying to get a rise out of her just to get some emotion out of her, and it pissed her off and it turned her away from him for like a hot second.
And I think she did, and he tried, but I think they were both trying to look at each other as, that's my uncle, that's my niece. But Noah was never like that.
He calls her cousin or whatever, but he's just like.
And Caleb is the silent, broody, sexy type. His actions.
He only speaks through actions. And Tiernan makes a comment about it later.
He just fucking irritates me. I can't. He just fucking drives me crazy throughout this whole damn book.
So she goes out to do her chores, and while she's doing the chores, she hears these noises.
This was fucking hot.
Fuck, I know.
As much as I fucking hate Caleb, this is fucking hot.
I'm like, I must be into voyeurism because I would watch.
I am into it. I like watching people. I like watching pornos. Like, it turns me on. I like it. I know it's probably not, I shouldn't say that, but it does. I like watching people have sex. It turns me on and makes me want to have sex.
I feel like it's only natural.
It gets stuff going. Okay. But when she was trying to find out that sound, and she creeps at the eye contact, that's what got me. Well, his eyes were closed, and then she was looking at the girl, and when she looks up, he's staring straight at
her, and they just lock eyes for a hot minute. And then she moans, and she's thinking, where does that moan come from? No, it came from her. And he just, like,
smirks.
Like, yeah.
But it's because he was, like, fucking the girl's mouth, like, hard. And that's when she was like,
I would be so embarrassed, but
she was.
He's, like, loving it. I like,
woo! Yeah, that was hot. I don't like him, but that was hot.
Yeah, she hears things going on outside the barn, so she leaves thinking like, oh my god, I hope nobody saw me watching them other than him. And Noah offers to take her on a ride on the dirt bike with all the motocross people. Terrence Holcomb being one of them.
And he's like, hey.
Yeah. And then
she was about to.
Yeah, she was about to get on the bike with Noah. She's like, okay. And then Caleb comes out from getting his blowjob, and he grabs her, and he tells her no.
He points to the house.
No,
like he's a child.
Yeah. And she's like, what I didn't get is Jake told her she could go. Noah wants her to go. Like, what's going to happen? Like, you don't trust Noah to take care of her? Or did you think that
This is that adolescent thing that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Her acting like this. This is where that adolescent shows. You're told to go inside the house like you're a child. And you fucking obey.
By Caleb.
Like, fuck you. I'm going.
Yeah. She goes in the house.
I think she has a fear of him.
I think she is afraid of him because of the encounters she's had with him.
And then she gets tears in her eyes, but instead she just goes inside the house.
Yeah.
I think one, because she was embarrassed, she didn't want anybody to see her, but two, she just obeyed.
Yeah, she just was, I guess, so afraid of him that she
takes everything from Caleb.
I like a little fear with my pleasure.
I mean,
apparently.
That's not what gets me about him, but
it's the way he acts. It's the way he treats her.
Yeah.
And then
so he's like, or she says, fuck him. So she's
got to she doesn't want to stay at the house with Caleb because Jake's going to town or something. So she's like, fuck this, I'm going to go for a hike. She gets the gun and she just takes a hike.
Because Jake told her that she couldn't go anywhere without protection.
So she finds
We
this.
forgot to mention that Jake took her up there and had her shoot, and she nailed it. And he's like, I didn't know you could shoot or something like that. But that's why he wanted her to shoot the gun.
Yeah.
So she goes up there and she finds the spring, the lake, or whatever, and she decides that she's gonna go swimming.
And then, who pops up? Terrence. First of all, creepy. How did he find you? After he had left with his motocross buddies. And 2, this mug just dips down in the water with you. And at first she's like, okay, well, she wants to, I guess.
Jake specifically told her to stay away from the guys in town.
She kind of was like being honorary, trying to disobey him.
Yeah.
I feel like at first. And then Terrence comes up and touches her and she's like, whoa, no, okay, I'm not vibing with this. Like, even if it does get a rise out of Jake, like, I ain't here for it. And before she can push him away, Noah and Caleb show up. My thing was like,
with the gun.
Yeah. My thing was like, how did they, if Noah was riding with everyone, what did he notice that Terrence was missing and go back to the house?
I think so.
And like tell Caleb like Terrence is missing, where's Tiernan, I guess. And then
or it might have been simply Caleb couldn't find Tiernan and left the house and then saw Noah riding. Noah sees Caleb with the gun and is like, who's missing out of this group?
Maybe so.
Oh shit, let's go find her.
I don't know. Either way, it was fast. It happened very fast.
Super fast.
For them to show up like right then. So Noah takes her back to the house and Tiernan's like, Did you kill him? Did you kill him? But no, they didn't.
We told you to stay away from them.
Yeah, and Jake like jumps her case.
Because this is when you find out that Terrence has a scoreboard.
Like a clubhouse with a scoreboard of their gangbangs. Jake warns her to stay away from him again, and she's like, well, he could just be making that up. Terrence could be right in saying that they're just trying to protect me because they think that I'm their property. Yes and no, both.
Terrence, his wording to her and the way they act was easy to believe in her way.
Yeah.
Versus them, because they are being very obsessive and controlling of her. And so she's like, well, he could be right. Look at how they're treating me. So whenever, next morning, and here we go, another chick in the house, just random chick, jumped on Noah's cock and is just like, I'm so glad that I got my chance. And he's like, what the fuck? Which again.
Well, okay, so
I feel like there's a scoreboard in town for the guys.
I feel like they're something of a local. It's like they got a little bit of like a local fame going on.
They're
the sought after men.
They're the
And it's clear because people just be going up there to fuck with us.
Like nobody gets close to them. You can touch them, but you'll never have them.
Yep.
So it's like everybody wants them because they can't have them.
I got the ick so bad from this scene. First of all, he's like,
right?
He's not attracted to this girl. I don't know if she's gross or if just what she said is grossing him out, or he can't, like, he's trying to fuck her and he literally just can't do it. He's like, I can't even come, so he has to pretend to come. And she's like, just her comments throughout the whole thing. She says something about make me daddy's whore, and he's like, ew, what the fuck? No.
And then he turns around and says something just nasty.
And she likes it. But she's liking it, and she's like, oh yes, come inside me. And he's like, oh, didn't even come. Like, I've got to get out here. And he just like runs out of the room.
She kept like, am I prettier than her? Are my tits better? Comparing herself to her sister. Did you forget that part?
Yeah, I did.
Yes. She's like, are my tits better? And he's like, yeah.
That's what she meant by I'm glad I got my chance. Her sister did, and she... Okay.
Yeah. So she had, I think she's fairly young. I think she might be 18.
Trucker.
And yeah, so I'm like, yeah. And she said, because when she said, oh yes, come inside me. And he's like, or she said something about, I want to feel you.
She said,
feeling you leak out of me.
I love the feeling of your come inside me. And he's like,
I didn't even come.
I can't even get off. You're so disgusting. So he gets dressed, flees the room. He's going for the bathroom, and at the same time he walks out of his room, he sees Tiernan coming up the stairs bitching because she's got chicken shit under her nails. She's like, fucking gross.
She sees Noah, they make eye contact.
Like,
don't you fucking know?
They both make for the bathroom, and they, just fight, and they finally get in there. Both of them. He locks the door, he starts the water, and then they start wrestling again, and they fall into the shower curtain, into the shower. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm wet, like, what the hell? And then the girl comes to knock him, Noah, and he's like, oh, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up.
And she's like, no.
He's like, well, if you shut up, she'll go away.
The girl ends up leaving.
And then Jake comes looking for her. He's like, what the fuck? Why is everybody looking for, trying to talk to me? I'm glad Caleb doesn't talk.
Because he'd be looking for me too. And then it gets serious.
They just sit in the tub and wait for them to go away.
This is when you find out that she attempted suicide, or she contemplated suicide.
She had an attempt that she ended up taking the backpack off and coming up for air.
I thought she got there and she left them.
No, because she says, later on he says, did your parents ever find out about your attempt? And she said, yes, because there was like thousands of dollars in fees for the library, and they were like, where are the books? And she's like, they're at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
And then he was like, well, I'm glad it didn't work out. Like, I'm glad you're here. And she was like, me too. And that's when he's like, I think everybody contemplates or has thoughts about suicide at one point or another.
And this is when you find out Noah's depth and his loneliness, and that's when they connect.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's always the common factor of loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find out he's very, very alone up there.
Noah didn't realize the extent of her loneliness.
Yeah.
And she didn't realize the extent of his, because they're lonely. They both had loneliness, but it was each different. Mm-hmm. Noah's is loneliness because he has no one there to talk to express himself with. His dad is constantly on him. Caleb doesn't talk. And then hers was, she was literally isolated and alone.
Well, like,
emotionless.
They have friends, but it seems like him and Caleb, they don't have any good friends that they can trust, or they have like their motocross buddies, and that seems about it.
Yeah.
They don't have any friends that come around. Yeah, they associate with people, but they don't hang out with friends.
Yeah. No, that's how I took it too.
So after they do each eventually shower, Jake wants to take them fishing and to the cliffs.
He wants to have just a day for them to
relax. Caleb and Noah go cliff diving, and Tiernan stays back at the shore and she fishes with Jake. She clearly doesn't know how to fish, so Jake is teaching her how to properly use her rod and reel.
Mm-hmm.
He's like standing behind her with his arms around her, showing her how to cast. And she's getting all like
hot and bothered.
And he's telling her, about his past, about how he's never had a good track record with women in his house, what happened with his first love, and then what happened with their mom. And she's sitting there like, this man is spilling his guts to me, and I'm so fucking turned on right now. So she just has to run away. She has to get away. He's like, there's a really cool cave behind the waterfall if you'd rather go hang out in the cave. She's like, that sounds like a great place for teenagers to hang out. He's like, yeah, if a guy takes you there, you know what he's after. And then it's like a word vomit. She's just like, well, maybe you should take me.
And then she's like,
because I'd be safer with you, right? He's like, yeah. And that's when she leaves. She's like, I gotta go. And she does go to the cave, and she proceeds to
touch herself.
And she imagines that it's Jake touching her. And just as she's cresting her orgasm, someone screams and starts running out of the cave. And it's Cece with a bloody nose. And then Caleb's right behind her. End scene.
Cece is the town hot girl.
Cece is the town slut.
I mean, self-proclaimed hot girl.
Yeah. So Tiernan's freaked out by seeing Cece and Caleb and Cece with a bloody nose. So they all go back to the shore, and there's a pop-up race.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the pop-up race, and it's I guess they set up as a vendor out there.
Mm-hmm.
But Tiernan runs over to watch Noah race, and she's like, he is so awesome. Why are they not all watching and cheering him on and blah, blah, blah. Well, then she gets pulled over by Cece. So Cece pulls her over, and they're kind of dancing very provocatively, but they're also having this heated discussion.
I'm not trying to cut you off, but again, I'm just going to note that I've started feeling for Noah because he is so good and his father shows him nothing. And you feel really, really bad for him. Because he even tries to talk to his dad, and his dad's like, so you can run off and play whatever for however many years and then what, and have nothing to show for yourself.
Well,
and Noah had a plan. I cut you off again. I'm sorry, but Noah had a plan. He's like, no, I go, I race for our company. I sponsor us. I get, and he had. I mean, it was smart, but Jake just brushes him off like what he says doesn't matter, and I felt bad for him.
I feel like Jake was proud of him because he is a good racer, but I feel like Jake doesn't want to lose his kids. He doesn't want them to go off, I don't know.
Not there.
Yeah.
I get that. And this is when she's walking back and Cece stops her.
Yeah.
Pulls her.
But they're having this heated discussion because Cece's like, I saw you in the cave. I know you followed us over there. You're just jealous of me and Caleb. And she's like, what? No, I'm not. You know what I was actually doing? I was touching myself.
Why am I telling you this? I don't care. Doesn't matter.
She's like, I could go put that on Twitter. She's like, you could put it on Twitter anyway, whether it were true or not. So then Jake walks up and tears her away from Cece, and he's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Every eye out here is on you too. And Tiernan's like, so it's not like I was screwing someone in public. And basically tells her she's being a cock tease. Everybody's watching her, and she's like, so it's not like I'm screwing someone out here in public.
She's getting pissed the way he's talking to her.
Yeah. He tells her if he sees her doing something like that again, he's gonna spank her. Tiernan tells Jake that he's got some fucked up double standards. Because they can be with women, multiple women, any women, and Tiernan can't be with anyone. And she's like, why can't I enjoy someone's company? And he says, we haven't been laid claim to. And she says, well, I haven't been laid claim to. And he's like, yeah, you have. Like, we claim you until you're old enough. And she's like, so what happens when I turn? She said, your logic's fucked up because if a woman lays claim to you, then she'll do whatever other women do for you. But you lay claim to me and you don't do what other men do for me. She has a fucking point.
She does. She absolutely has a point. However, he is her guardian and she is 17. And regardless of all of this, if you take just this one incident, just this one single incident, he had complete sense of the matter.
No,
like, it makes complete sense. Like, you're 17 years old. You're my responsibility. Keep your shit in your pants and nobody's going to touch you. Now, when you turn 18, I can't say anything. But until then, you're my property.
Now, I get it. Like, he doesn't want her to go screw other people. He doesn't want her to end up pregnant. He wants her to go to college.
Yes.
And whatever. I get where Jake is coming from, but I also see Tiernan's point of view. You're treating her like a grown woman.
When it's convenient for you.
But when she wants to have sex, you shut her down.
Right.
Buy her a vibrator or something. Damn.
Do something for her, girl.
Like, at least you could, like, she could. If she wants it so bad, she could go buy a vibrator.
And why? It's like, why all of a sudden? Is it just because of these 3 men that you just have to have it?
Like I said, like,
Why haven't you bought one before then?
I don't feel like she ever had the desire until now. She didn't connect with anyone emotionally. She didn't want to screw anyone. And now she's in this house all the time with these 3 hot men who are always trying to connect with, well, the 2 of them at least are trying to connect with her. And she's just always turned on. I can't blame her. I'd be turned on. So, that night, they go back to the house or whatever. The guys all take a bunch of girls up there, and they're basically all having orgies in there. And Tiernan wakes up in the middle of the night because of the girls screaming in Noah's and Caleb's room.
It's just all the moaning and the screaming and the fact that she's
damn,
getting turned on.
Yeah. So she goes downstairs.
And pissed because she's like, motherfuckers, they can have sex, but no, I can't.
Right. And she turns around and Jake's sitting at the table. And she's like, what you doing down here? Like, what? Why aren't you upstairs with your girl? And he's like, oh, I took her home. He's like, because instead of, this is like in his head, he's like, because instead of pile driving the tits and ass I brought home, no, I had to take her home, and I'm sitting down here contemplating going upstairs and giving the teenage piece of ass a good night kiss.
Again, she's 17. You are 30-something years old and her supposed uncle. Maybe you should go for women your own fucking age, and you wouldn't be so tempted by a 17-year-old.
They start talking, and he's kind of like admitting that he's attracted to her. Like, you don't need to be walking around in this. And she's walking around very provocatively in the kitchen. And he's
like, when we get snowed in,
yeah,
you cannot do this.
You can't walk around like this when we've been snowed in for 8 weeks. And she is literally flaunting her body, and she's flirting with him, and they start talking, and he gets close to her in a comforting way, and then it becomes a very intimate way. And this is the first time they kiss.
This is fucked up. I feel like this was really fucked up, that he couldn't take responsibility for his actions, so I felt like he like kind of attacked her, not in like a physical or whatever, an aggressive way, but he attacked her emotionally when he.
So yeah,
what he said.
They get very physical, and he fills her up, and she's like, "Take me to bed." He shuts it down, and then he hits her emotionally. He's like, "You're acting out because your parents didn't love you, and so the first person to show any love and affection to you, you're trying to tack onto." And he lays it. I mean, he's true in what he's saying.
Yeah, he's true.
again, I feel like he's trying to get an emotional response out of her because she is starting to open up with him and show emotion, and she's blown up on him a couple times. I feel like he's trying to get her to break. Like, she needs this emotional breakthrough.
She does. And I agree with you and I don't agree with you.
But I also feel it like he's saying it to himself. Like, you don't want me. You just want someone to love you.
Yeah. This whole book pisses me off with the way that everyone is very much aware of her and her mindset, I guess. You know, like she's not fucking right. And yet they freaking play her. It's like manipulations and like little tit tats, and I'm gonna make you feel good, and then it's I'm gonna make you feel like shit, and then I'm gonna make you feel good, and then I'm gonna make you feel like shit constantly.
I don't disagree.
She is a convenience. He is attracted to her and he knows that it's not right, but he is still attracted to her. And when he lets himself slip, it's like, oh no shit, let me make you feel like that. It's your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault because you need it because you're emotionally fucked up.
He's emotionally fucked up as well.
All of them motherfuckers are.
They all are. It's just all fucked up.
All of them are.
They're all fucked up mentally, and
they all need therapy for different reasons, but they all fucking need therapy.
Jake's first love killed herself. Then his wife is a drug addict and abuses their child. The child, because of the abuse, can't ride in the fucking car without the windows down.
And
he can't, he's a mute, and he doesn't know how to love anyone. He doesn't know how to trust anyone, and he
or show love.
Doesn't connect with anyone emotionally.
And then you have your other son.
And you have Noah, who is this sweet,
who you put
typical man,
all of the burden to carry on, who you don't show any love to. And then you have Tyrion,
who is just as fucked up as the rest of them.
So all 4 of them, it's like, that's a great idea. Let's put them in the cabin for 10 weeks together.
So, yeah, she breaks. She cries in his arms for what sounded like a long time. And then she goes to bed. I really feel for her in this moment because she admits to herself, like, yeah, my parents didn't love me. They didn't talk to me, and I don't even know who I am. So the next day, it seems like after her emotional breakthrough, finally, she has kind of taken a turn. She is like really enjoying their date. They go like horseback riding, and she's really enjoying it. And then the boys are going to go to town when they get back to get lunch, and she's like, okay, I'll go. And she gives Jake a kiss, like on the cheek, and he's like, what was that? And she's like, well, you told me to do things that make me happy, so I'm just doing things that make me happy. And you're like, oh, okay. So she goes to town with the boys, and
they stop and get the burger.
The lady spills the drink. Noah makes some comment to her, and the lady like chunks the drink on him, and it like goes all in Tyrion's seat. So Caleb like grabs her and puts him in his lap so she doesn't get wet. And
he's putting napkins and stuff down to keep dry, and she's like,
oh, I can sit there.
And then he just points to the napkins like, it's still wet, dumbass. Yeah. Like, no, you're not sitting there. And he like, kind of tightens it because he's the seatbelt.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you treat her like shit, and then you do this and that. When he did that, I was like, maybe he's getting sweet. This is when he's gonna start turning around. You're gonna see who he is, right? Yeah. No.
So they get back.
Polar ass.
So they get back from town, and Jake has decided that after her run-in with Terrence, Tiernan needs to be trained. So he's like grappling with her on the ground, and it's getting all hot and heavy again. Like he gets a boner, and they're just kind of laying there at this point after they're done grappling, staring at each other because she's like, he's embarrassed because I made him hard, and he knows I know he is. And then Noah just walks in, and he's like, hey, you got a phone call. Her eye calls to tell her that it's her parents' funeral date is that week or whatever, and she needs to fly back to LA
if she wants
to go. Yeah. So she does. She leaves. She goes to LA, and she's really unsure if she's going to come back at all. She's like, I really want to come back, but there's like a lot of things that I just really do need to face and handle.
Jake offers to go with her.
Jake did offer to go with her, even though he said at the beginning, I'm not going to their funeral.
Yeah.
Which he didn't blame him. She wasn't even sure she was going to go.
Right.
So she goes to the funeral, and like right there at the end, she totally has a meltdown.
So she's gone for like a day or two. And as she's at the funeral, she realizes that this really isn't where she wants to be.
She doesn't feel at home at all. She feels like her home.
And then it just like cuts off. And then it's Noah. And Noah's there like, go get her, Dad.
He's like, we're fucking all miserable. Go drag her back from LA. Like, don't drag her back, but force her to come back.
And he's like, she's only been gone 2 days. She might come back. And he's like, no, she's not. Go get her.
They hear footsteps on the stairs, and he's like, what the fuck? I didn't have anyone. Well, Caleb must have had someone over. And then he looks back, and it's Tiernan, and they're all like, what the fuck?
And she is just, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I need you boys to do this, this, and this, and then I'll start breakfast, but I'm not starting breakfast until this, and this is done. And she walks out, she's like, come on, boys. And they're like,
oh. So, like, that night or the next night, they're eating dinner, and Jake had grilled them some steaks, and Noah really wants Tiernan to get drunk with him.
So funny.
He wants her to get drunk with him so bad. He's like, I'll make you a deal. Whoever finishes their plate first has to take shots. And she's like, well, you're going to take the shots anyway. So if I finish my plate first, you get to cook breakfast for like a week or whatever it is. And so Noah goes to eating.
And she's just sitting there like, and
he's like,
what's going on?
She just sets her plate down, and the dogs devour her plate. He's like, no, that's not fair. That's not fair.
She's like, you had to. And she's like, I did. I set my plate down.
You didn't say how.
Because Jake was like, that was your dinner. You're not getting anything else. And she said, it was worth nothing. She's eating a piece of fruit, and the next thing you know is Caleb has done cut half his steak and cut it into bite-sized pieces and handed it, or, gave her the plate. I was like, that was really sweet.
And out of character, but very sweet. So that was hilarious. But she proceeds to tell them about the advice her mom gave her about the 3 loves in your life.
Right.
Lust, learn, and love. My mother said the first boy or man is a crush. You think you love him, but what you really love is how they make you feel. It's not love. It's lust. Lust is for attention. Lust is for danger. Lust is to feel special. You're needy with number 1. Needy for someone to love you. Jake, that's what I thought. Number 2 is where you finally learn what you're capable of. You start getting demanding, you grow bold, not afraid to start calling some shots. You're also not afraid to be greedier in the bedroom because it's about what you want and not what he wants. Number 2 is to be used in a way. She's Noah. I also thought that. And number 3, love. When the lessons of your weaknesses with number 1 and your selfishness with number 2 sink in, and you find a middle ground where you know who you are and you're ready to welcome everything he is, and you're not afraid anymore. You still might not have a happy ending, but you'll engage in a healthy relationship and handle yourself in a way you're proud of.
Now, she later on, if we forget to mention this, I want to mention this because it's worth mentioning. Later on in the book,
I think you loved me and I love you because I was yours that first night when you took me in your arms in the shop and you didn't even know my name. It was a rough road we traveled to get here, and I knew you were the one even then. I need some time. Remember the 3 L's I talked about? Lust. She wrote this in the book to him before she left. Remember the 3 L's I talked about? Lust, Lust, learn, and love. There's another one my mother didn't tell me about, and I'm not sure where it fits, but I know it's necessary. I need some time alone to hear myself. It's time to listen. Fast forward a bit, and it's her birthday. Her and Noah have went to the grocery store to get some things before the winter. She's stocking up on that birth control. So Noah gives her a baseball cap and a t-shirt for her birthday. It's one of their like Vanderberg t-shirts. And then they go home and they're about to go out for her birthday. And Jake gives her a pink bow. And then he's like, "You gotta use it." And she's like, "Well, that's a problem for a different day." Because she doesn't want to shoot any. And then Caleb gives her a leather belt that he's made and engraved things that are significant to her.
And one of them being he engraved a dream catcher, and she's like, "Why did he put a dream catcher in there?"
Caleb is her dream catcher.
Shut the front door.
It is.
If I didn't dislike him so much, that would be really sweet.
I like Caleb. He's got a lot of emotional and childhood trauma that
You wanna know what bothers me?
Jake never put him in therapy for.
So
I don't blame Caleb for the way
your kid doesn't fucking talk, and you're not trying to get him some help. So Jake says we're going out before the storm hits. So they go out and they get steaks or eat or whatever, and then they decide that they're going to go to the bar. And as long as there's a guardian, she can drink, or I don't know what it is. This is when
she was dancing with a bridal party, and then all of a sudden the crowd fills up in the middle of the floor, and she looks around and notices that the crowd is filled with Terrence's buddies and Cece.
Yeah. Cece says, pretty much says that Caleb is the one that gave her the bloody nose.
Yeah.
And Terrence is trying to convince her to come back with them and they'll keep her safe during the winter and blah, blah, blah. Caleb sees it. Caleb starts a fight. They all start fighting. They run over motorbikes outside and they leave. Cops are chasing them. Terrence and his guys are chasing them. And they end up losing them. They get snowed in. Great. So now she's 18. Bam, take it down there. You already know it's coming. She's 18.
Later that night, she goes downstairs to get some firewood. She'll get some wood already. Pun intended. Caleb and Noah are down there with guns guarding the house, and she's like,
"What the fuck?
I thought we were good. Like, I thought they couldn't get up here." And they're like, "Oh no, we're fine. We're just precautions." She's like, "Well, we got the doors locked, right?" And they're like, "Yeah," but she figures out they're guarding her.
Yeah,
not the house. They're guarding her. So he's like, "Watch a movie with us." And I'm like, "Oh great, I already know where this is going." So they start watching some movie, and then he's like, "You really want to know what we do to entertain ourselves during the winter?" And what does he do? He puts on a porno.
Hot. That's hot.
She was so hot and bothered. Meanwhile, she's watching them also stroke themselves.
So they're stroking themselves, and then she starts touching herself, and then they stop the movie, and then they start watching her, and they're all fixing to start doing some stuff, and
she's like doing it under the blanket, and then like the blanket falls, and she raises her shirt up, and she's still doing things, and she realizes the movie stops, and she looks around, and they're watching her, and she's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." Well, then they keep going, and Caleb comes up behind her and pulls one of her hands up or something, and Noah like puts his hand down in her pants to help her or whatever.
On top of her hand.
Yeah. And then he's like, "I want to take your cherry." But Caleb wants your ass. And she's like,
"Okay.
Oh God, okay." And then Jake walks down. It's like,
what the fuck is going on?
How long were you watching?
So Jake catches them, and they all leave, and he's going off on her.
He's like, "I warned you." that if you were being provocative again or whatever, I was going to spank you. And so he does. He sits down on the couch and
because she says something to him.
Yeah.
He is agging it on.
She is.
And then
she wants it.
Right. And so because she's agging it on, he's like, I warned you. So he pulls her pants down, leans her over on him, and spanks her. But I'm not talking about spanking, like, you're whooping a child. No, he's spanking her and he's making sure that he's hitting that click.
She is like spreading her legs.
She is bared, and he spanks her until right before the climax.
I need to go find my husband.
So the next morning, so she's pissed anyway. She goes upstairs to go sleep, whatever. Not sleeping, but she's hot and bothered. The next morning, Jake decides that she needs to hunt with her bow. So he makes her shoot a deer, even though she doesn't want to. She shoots it and kills a deer, and the boys go off to get it, and it's just her and Jake, and they're talking, and then it starts getting heated. So she and him are getting all hot and bothered together. They go back to the truck, and Jake's like, you two boys go take the deer back to the house. And Noah's like, Tyrion, you can ride with us. And
like,
Jake's like, no. No. So while this is happening, he has got her in the truck. He's pulled her pants down. He is fingering her. And the guys can't see, and the boys can't see any of this. And I'm saying boys just so you know it's his sons. So the boys can't see any of this because of how his truck is, the windows, or some shit like that. I don't know. They explain it in the book. Read it. So
you're talking so fast.
So we're getting good. Okay, so this one I'm going to, I'm talking faster. Anyways, the boys go back, and Jake is going down on her. He's eating that shit good. Like the best Sunday he's ever had. Now, he knows that she's a virgin. He knows she's a virgin. Okay? He is her step uncle. Okay? Step uncle. He is very well into his 30s, nearly 40. He knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
Sexually and mentally with her, okay? So, she's like, fuck me, Uncle Jake.
And then you're like, ick.
I'm like,
ick.
I'm like, no.
But it's so hot.
I was physically cringing, and I was like, hold it in. Like, fucking foul.
Like I said,
So
when I could read it and omit those words, it was so much hotter.
why do we have to add Uncle Jake? I have no idea. Maybe as a reminder that, hey, don't stick your penis in her. You're her uncle. But no, that didn't turn.
But it's not.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like,
she didn't have to say it, Penelope. You didn't have to say Uncle Jake.
He was parenting her up until this point, which I know it wasn't very long, couple weeks or whatever, but it still doesn't matter.
It was a very aggressive, intimate parenting.
Yeah. Anyways,
he was healing her.
He was like, fuck it. Can't take it. You're so fucking hot and perfect. So he just rams into her. He's like, now that we got that over with, you'll enjoy it now. I want to make sure your first time was enjoyable and not ruin it. No, motherfucker. You just wanted to be the first for something. Your brother and your sister-in-law ruined your first love. Your sons were fixing to take her, and you're like, no, I'm gonna beat you to her. And then you're done. But you weren't done. Because y'all stayed out there for fucking hours. Fucking hour.
And then they go back to the house, all wrapped up in each other.
I was gonna say, he's carrying her inside the house.
They're not even hiding it. The boys are there and you don't even hide it. But okay, I mean, I guess whatever.
Oh, the boys are sitting at the table.
They're pissed. They probably knew when they didn't come back.
Oh, they for sure knew.
Fucking pissed. Because Jake's like making them, calling them off of her the night before, and then he fucks her out in the woods the next day.
And that's what Noah said. You just wanted her first.
It's better for Jake to fuck her first, and then the boys. Then the boys screw her, and then him take her.
I feel like Jake should have never even been in there, to be honest with you. I mean, I get why.
Should he have? No. But it would be more fucked up if it was the boys and then him.
It would have. And, Noah says something, I can't remember later on in the book, about that whole situation, but I do. If he had to, I agree. At least he was first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what Noah. He says that he wanted to make love to her. Mm-hmm. And he was going to be gentle with her, and he was going to do right by her. And that's what hurts my heart. So like, she would have had it good. I think Noah would have taken care of her.
Would you have wanted it in the ass and your vagina your very first
time?
time?
Definitely not. I'm just saying if
because that's what they were planning to do.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, yes,
I would have preferred to have been with Jake first.
True. And I mean, I'm not saying I don't. But even when it was two of them, he didn't do her in the ass when they were together, did he?
Yeah, he did.
He did?
Caleb did, yeah. Yeah.
I guess I skipped over that somehow.
It's the only time they share her, and he's in her ass, and Noah's in her vagina.
Huh. Okay. Well, regardless, I agree.
So Jake goes to check on Tiernan. He's like, I wanted to come check on you. Are you good? And she's like, yeah. Or what? He's like, are you warm enough? And she's like, he's like, why don't you just come sleep with me? So she does. She goes back to the bedroom with him. They have sex some more. And it's like she skips over. She'll just mention, like, they had sex again.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's not detailed.
Yeah. It happens, and during the first description, you can imagine
the first description, and then it's like, oh, we did it 3 more times.
Yeah, and you can imagine how hot it was, like shower, bed, whatever. So you get the image, but there's no detail. That's what I'm saying. It just kind of brushes over that they fucked like rabbits.
Yeah. So Tiernan wakes up later and finds Jake in the bathroom about to take a shower. He's just like staring at himself in the mirror. He's like got that guilt going on. I had such a cringe moment at this point because they get intimate and then she steps in the shower with her clothes on like his first love did. And she says,
oh my gosh.
She runs her fingers through his hair and she says, close your eyes and make love to her.
Because he made a comment that night saying asked him what he liked most, and he said
that she ran her fingers through his hair. So that's what Tiernan did. And she says, close your eyes and make love to her. And I'm like,
why did you say that?
Why would you say that? And then I loved Jake's response because he says, I love you. I like that you use your fingers. But Tiernan uses her nails, and I could never not imagine that it was you. I was like, oh. I just thought that was so sweet.
And I'm going to go back. No. This is another instance of why she needs therapy. Because who in their right fucking mind would have said that?
I feel like...
Why would you want your body to be you?
I feel like it was her trying to make him...
less sad.
To feel like less guilt or something. Okay. Because she knows that he's feeling guilty for screwing her. Like, she knows that. I feel like it was kind of like her way of, like, trying to get him out of his head. In a way.
Okay.
But it was one of those things, I was like, why would you do that? So they take a shower, and she starts to leave, and he's like, where are you going? And she says, to my room, because I need actual sleep, and I know if I stay in here, I won't get any. So, like, she walks out of Jake's bedroom, and she's going to her room, and that's when Caleb is standing there. And she's like, he heard us screwing. Like, she's been standing there the whole time.
And then, what he does...
It's fucked up.
When he attacks her, proceeds to like pretty much sit on her and takes a Sharpie and writes slut on her forehead and spits in her hair. Absolutely fucking not. Does it not bother you that she never fucking tells Jake anything about Caleb and what he does?
It bothers me the way he acts out when he's pissed. Because he can't yell at her. But I guess it's the only way he can show how pissed off he is. Now, did he do it in the wrong fucking way? Yeah, but he hates her.
He hates her because she makes him feel things.
Exactly.
And then, but I'm asking, why wouldn't you say anything?
I don't know why she doesn't say anything.
So after the incident, she of course doesn't say anything to Jake. And he decides that he's going to go to the cabin to go fishing for fish. And Caleb normally joins him, but he doesn't join him this time. Why? I don't know. Weird, right? Thought the same thing.
Why? Because I think they had it planned out. Him and Noah, I think when Jake wanted to go to the fishing cabin, Caleb was like, I'm gonna stay here and fuck her.
I think Caleb didn't go because he didn't want Noah. So he stayed behind.
Or that.
So then, Jake leaves. Caleb stays behind with Noah, so it's just them three. And Tyrion is glad that Noah is there because she's scared of Caleb.
Noah tries to pull some shit on Tiernan, and she's like, no, I'm not screwing you. She pushes him off, and he's so you don't want to screw me, but you want to screw my daddy because your daddy didn't love. Fucked up. I would be pissed off too. She storms to her room. Later that night, Noah finally hears Tiernan screaming in her sleep for the first time, and he runs in there, and Caleb's running down the stairs at the same time. And Noah was like, what's going on? If you're not in there, what's going on? And so, because he assumes Caleb's in there and they're fucking.
Right.
Or something. And so Caleb goes in and snuggles in behind her, and Noah's just watching, and he's like, what are you doing? And she stops screaming, and he's thinking, he just like snuggled in with her like this. They do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that she's still asleep. He's like, okay. So then he goes downstairs and he smells smoke and he's like, what the fuck? The barn's on fire. So he yells for Caleb. Caleb comes down. They handle the fire. Tiernan.
It's not a little fire, is it?
No, it's a huge fire. Like they tumped over their water tower on it to put it out so it didn't get to the animals.
And
Tiernan runs out and helps, and while she's trying to get the horses out, she cuts her arm on something. So they take her inside and they stitch her. So
then go sit on the couch before I duct tape your mouth.
They stitch her up, which was very intense.
Because there's no numbing, no nothing.
Yeah, they can't do anything. Bless her heart. She's freaking out. And Caleb has to, like, slap her to calm her down because she's in so much pain. So she won't focus on the pain. Noah's holding her and kissing her, and Caleb kisses her. I'm so, like, oh my God. It's so much. After they stitch her up, they decide to bathe her.
And this is my cringe moment.
Really?
Because of what Noah says.
What does he say?
Look, Caleb, do you think that she gets as wet as this for daddy?
Okay, I forgot he said that. Yeah, cringy.
So they bathe her in like the tin wash basin.
Wash thing? I don't even know. I'm like, where did that even come from?
Like it reminds me of like a horse's sloth. Like
they're washing things, and she's getting it.
They're making sure all the crevices get clean. You know, they're going inside the lips and making sure it's real good and clean up inside there.
So clearly, obviously, she gets turned on, and they take her upstairs and just have their little way with her. They have a whole ass threesome with this poor girl who just became a non-virgin like just mere days ago. They have reason to her.
It's hot. It's intense. It's amazing. Then
Is it? You didn't even know it was a threesome, apparently.
I knew it was a threesome, but I didn't realize that he went in her ass.
Good. Go back and read it if you want.
No, I'm good. I believe you. They each get their way with her, and then it's
the next morning. She wakes up and they're already out doing chores. Yeah, she wakes up and goes down in the back to take a shower. She's like unwrapping her arm, and Caleb walks in and helps her, and he's looking at it.
and he checks her face on each side.
He's making sure that he didn't bruise her like slapped her. And then he looks at him and she says, I'll leave. Like, I know you hate me because you can't trust anyone, so I'll leave so that I don't ruin your home. And he just like kneels down and lays in her lap and hugs her.
It was sweet or intimate and was weird.
But then Jake walks up and he's like, what the fuck happened? And he's like, what happened to you? And she's like, it's not their fault. Like, they didn't do this. I injured myself. And then she's like, there was a fire, but we handled it. But also something else happened. And he's like, both of them? And she just like looks down. Like, is he going to make me say it? But he doesn't. He's like, did they treat you good? And she's like, yeah. So
Hell yeah, they did.
They just moved past that.
And then she finally gets the relationship that should have been all along. I mean, there was like 2 incidents that were like, let's back up a little bit. But for the most part, their relationship becomes uncle-niece.
Yeah, it does. It's like once his sons had her, he realized he couldn't go back to that.
Yeah. And which he always said that they would never be anything.
Yeah.
So it was always set that nothing was ever going to be
anything.
Yeah.
Tierney goes outside to get some greenery to make some like stuff for her. And Caleb comes out to help her. And then they get all touchy-feely, and she's like, no, don't kiss me. I just want you to fuck me. And he wants to kiss her so bad. And she's like, no. So they go in the barn and start having sex in the car, and she gets so into it that she lets him kiss her. And they just like really connect for this moment. Until Noah comes in and starts looking for her because Levi has called again. She's freaked out and Tiernan hasn't answered. She's calling Jake and Jake's like losing it on her. But in the meantime, Noah is talking to her and he's like, I just want to keep you here with me. Noah suggests that they should get her pregnant, knock her up so she can't leave and go to college.
Is this the first time that we get to see Caleb's point of view when he starts talking?
Yes, this is the first time we get to see Caleb's point of view, and it's not even him talking. It's just like a narrator talking.
Okay.
And it says like he hates her, but he loves her. He's jealous of he's sick of her being with Noah and Jake. He wants her to himself, basically. But then also he's very conflicted because he's feeling things for her and he doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
So he basically like straps her wrist to the bed frame and then fucks her like she's nothing. And she loses it. She gets loose and she runs out of the room. And she runs into the room with Noah and she stays in there with Noah until morning. And then she comes out and Caleb is still sitting out there. Like he's like fucked up over what he did. Like he knew he fucked up.
Well, and she shows kindness to him. He wasn't like that until she did something to him, like apologized and said, I understand, it's fine, I get it.
Yeah, she was apologizing to him. She was ready to forgive him, and then she saw it was in his hand.
And then you see, like, he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, like, I've really fucked up.
Yeah.
I think he thinks that she doesn't feel anything for him.
Yeah.
And that's what he's fucked up over as well. Like
because he's like, how can she feel for my dad? How can she feel for Noah? How can she feel for me? She's gonna leave. They all leave.
And he knows, like, she's afraid of him and he's afraid of her. So he had went downstairs and tore up her dresser that she finished that day.
Because she realized that she likes to refinish.
She likes to design. She likes to refurbish and design things
to bring old things back to life. And I think that's what she wants to do. She realizes that she likes doing this.
She has a passion for it. She's found a passion for something. She's found a hobby, and she loves it. So she realizes what he's done. She goes downstairs. She sees it. She throws her own tantrum and takes care of her other projects. Like, just tears them to pieces. And then Jake and Noah come down, and they're like, what the fuck's going on? And that's when Caleb loses it, and he leaves. He goes to the fishing cabin.
Well, Jake is like, what is going on? And then Caleb does the sign for mine.
Yeah, he taps on his chest twice, which is the sign for mine. And
in sign language.
Tiernan's like, what the fuck is that? And then later, after some time has passed, I think it's the next day, Jake tells her, like, he's lashing out because he's in love with you. And she's like, no, he's not. He hates me. And Jake tells her, I taught him sign language and I still remember some of it. And he signed mine before he left, talking about you. And that's when she's like, oh. And then in his absence, she, like, falls in love with him.
He's gone for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's not just like a weekend. He's gone for 2 months.
2 months.
In the middle of winter. Like, it's full-blown blizzard outside.
And she realizes, Jake makes a comment, and he says something about him not coming back before she leaves to go to college, and she realizes, like, I may not see him again.
Because aren't the roads getting kind of cleared up some?
Yeah, but they have another storm coming in.
Right. And that's going to hit the cabin. He said something about it's going to be worse where the cabin is than it is here.
So she goes up to his room and she finds these, like, journal entries that he's put in these books that nobody reads. And it's literally like logs of his feelings, and then it turns into things about her.
Well, it's sporadic. There's no organization to it. It's just he'll pick up a book and just
write in it
randomly.
Whatever he felt.
And this is when she realizes, oh, he does care for me. I am in his thoughts.
Because she reads one of the entries where he says he hears her screaming at night and nobody else does, and so he goes down to comfort her every night. So I think that was the journal entry where she decided, I'm going to go get him. So she goes and wakes up Noah, and she's like, come on, let's go find Caleb.
Yeah.
So Noah and Tiernan, they trek up to the fishing cabin in the woods.
And they leave a note for Jake because they knew Jake wouldn't let them do it.
And then he's not there, and they're like, oh my God, where is he? So the next morning, they, like, sleep in the fishing cabin, and then the next morning, Noah goes out to hunt for them some food.
Right.
And Tiernan sees a deer out in the...
A big buck.
Yeah, out in the...
right by the door.
Right by the pond or something. I don't know. And she goes out there and she's like, if Noah sees you, he'll kill you. Shoot, 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 go, shoot. And as she's shooting it away, she catches Caleb's eyes. Because he's about to shoot the deer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like they're reunited. And they're in love.
And he still doesn't fucking talk. And they end up having sex in the cabin.
They do.
And Noah comes back and they don't let him in.
Yeah, they're like, he's like banging on the door. I guess you found Caleb, I guess? Would you fucking let me in? It's cold out here. She says, oh, the irony. 6 months ago, I ran from a life of people who wouldn't talk to me and ended up falling for a guy who may never say a word to me. And then she reads his tattoo. It says Credence. Belief as to the truth of something. And she's like, I'm not even sure I understand.
Touché.
Yeah, like, I still don't really get it.
What is it?
Credence is belief as to the truth of something.
So to believe in something whether or not it's true, pretty much. To make it true because you believe in it.
Okay, yeah. They go back and it's 2 weeks later and they're like riding around.
They have spent every way. Caleb will not let her
in those 2 weeks. Yeah, Caleb doesn't let her out of his sight in those 2 weeks they spend together. And then Noah, while Caleb's off doing something, fixing something, Noah tells her Caleb is supposed to be your first, not your third. He's supposed to be lust, not your love. But he's wrong because Jake was her first, Noah was her second, and Caleb was her third.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's 2 months later, and Tiernan finally, she's like spotting. She's like, oh, I'm finally getting my period. After a few days late, I thought I might have been pregnant. She's like, as much as we have sex, like it would be, not surprising for my birth control to fail. When she gets done in the bathroom, she goes up to his room and she's looking at herself, like imagining, like, what if I was pregnant? She's got her shirt pulled up and she's like kind of playing with her stomach as if she looked pregnant. And Noah and Caleb walk in and they just stare at her for a second. And then Noah's like, I'm gonna go. So he just leaves. And Caleb is like freaking out, and then she's like
excited.
Yeah. She says, no, like I'm not pregnant. I just thought I was, but I just got my period.
I was just being stupid.
I was just playing around. I was just being stupid. But then he drags her to the bathroom and he grabs her birth control and he throws it away.
And she's like, no. And she picks it up and they're like fighting over it.
Yeah, and he finally throws it away again. And she's like, okay, I'll just make a mental note to come get it back out of the trash. And it's like later that day and she's like, so I guess we're trying now. I mean, I still haven't went and got my birth control out of the trash. Oh, the irony in how they go to town later and see that Cece Diggins is pregnant. Very large. And she implies
it's Caleb.
That it's Caleb's. And Caleb's like,
I'll be in touch.
Caleb freaks out. Tiernan freaks out. And all Tiernan wants him to do is talk to her, calm her down, assure her that that baby is not his. And he doesn't. Like, he doesn't even, like, acknowledge her.
Because he can't. He can't. I mean, he can tell her, I don't think it's mine, but he can't confirm it because he did, in fact, really. They don't know how far along she is.
And I guess he's freaking out because he doesn't know how to convey to her, like, it could be mine, but I hope it's not, or whatever.
Noah's like, it ain't
mine. So Tiernan is so upset that she makes him pull over and she jumps out of the truck, and then Noah pulls up behind them. She jumps on the bike with Noah and they go back to the cabin. Well, when they get there, they've got to do this photo shoot that Noah has set up for them. They do the photo shoot
for their business.
And then Caleb, some guy makes a comment about Tiernan, and Caleb, like,
I wouldn't mind have been locked up with her for 10 weeks.
Yeah. Caleb, like, jumps him. And so Jake makes everyone leave. And he's like, Tiernan, you stay here. I'm taking them to town. We're going to sort out the stuff at the bar and the police station.
She's like, no. I want to go. And he's like, I need to sort this stuff out and figure out about Cece.
He will not leave you alone if I don't take him away from you.
Which doesn't make any sense. The roads are open and now you're going to leave her in the house by herself?
I mean, they've been to town once and they're going to smooth the stuff over. They didn't really think somebody was going to come up there that day.
No, I know.
He just cleared the roads.
And they had a photo shoot. And they had a whole bunch of motocross people there.
Yeah. Mirai's also supposed to show up later.
That's right. She's supposed to come and visit.
Yeah. So she's got to be there for her anyway. Or she's got to go pick her up later anyway. Yeah. So they leave. And then one of the horses is acting up in the barn. She's like freaking out. And she goes out there to check on him, and Terrence is out there.
Yeah. She's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, probably has something to do with me. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
And he tells her, like, your boyfriend's going to go to jail, blah, blah, blah. But if you sponsor me and what does he say? If you sponsor me,
pretty much be my sugar mama, sponsor me, and then you can even get whatever you need from me when you want it.
Like implying that he can have sex, they can have sex.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck that. So she runs into the house, and then his two friends are in the house. So she
throws knives at him.
She throws knives at him.
Like, you go, girl.
And while she's flipping Violet Sorengen.
Oh. Yeah.
So she calls Jake all the while, distracting them and yelling at them to get out of the house to alert Jake.
Right.
And then she runs out.
She did it behind her back. I mean, that's talent
for
to be able to do that.
So then she runs out to the garage and she's hiding behind her arm.
She was about to run outside and she's like, no.
Terrence is out there.
I can't do that.
Mm-hmm. So she runs out to the garage or the shop or whatever and she hides. And they come out there looking for her and she sees her bow. I'm like, all right, you badass. Come on. I love that she protects herself.
Yeah, and she did. She did exactly that. She shot the guys. She ended up shooting Terrence in the bedroom. And luckily, just in time, the guys show up. And Terrence is there like, help.
It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Jake sticks his boot in his back and the cops show up. Terrence gets arrested. Then
Mira shows up freaking out.
She's like, what is going on?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. And then, she had packed a bag because she wasn't sure where she was going to stay. Like, she didn't want Mira there with Caleb being all.
She had made the decision that she was going to stay with Mira in a hotel. Or she had wrote in the book of Caleb saying that.
Fourth L was time to listen to her.
She loves him, but she can't. She needs time to listen to herself and what she really needs. And he does too. So she was leaving. And then, of course, he's hurt and blah, 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 whatever. So she ends up leaving. They end up going back to L.A., to California.
Because Caleb saw her suitcase and put it in the car for her, basically telling her to go.
Mm-hmm. And Jake said, when you go back to California, you're taking Noah with you.
Mm-hmm. But Noah didn't go with her.
But I'm saying Jake had come. I just think it's worth noting that he actually was like, he needs to go.
He needs to be happy. He needs to find himself.
Yeah. It's 6 weeks later now.
Yeah. And she's going to the beach, and Noah shows up on the beach. And he tells her, like, yeah, I've been here the whole time. She's like, you've been in LA for 6 weeks, and you're just now coming to talk to me?
He's like, I needed some time.
I needed some time to myself, too.
She's like, well, I'm so glad you're here and whatever.
How did you know where I was? And he's like, oh, well, Dad snuck a tracking app on your phone.
I thought that was funny.
After the Terrence incident.
Because at first he's like, well, I mean, you told me the story, then this was your favorite place to be. And he's like, and also, they go back to her house.
No, she hears Jake and Mira in the kitchen arguing. Right. Tell me where she is. I do not know where she is.
And even if I did, I would not tell you.
After what you did to her,
I should call the police. You should be in jail. It's not like that.
I like that one time when Mirai called and Tiernan sent her a gift to like 2 plane tickets to Fiji, and Mirai's, are you trying to tell me something? And she's like, yeah, you need to go find a hot man in Fiji.
Like, is she hot?
Is she hot? And she's just like, oh my God. So anyway, yeah, Jake is there fighting with Mira. She goes to bed. And something wakes her up. I don't even know what wakes her up.
I think it's just her. Is it the lightning? Was it a lightning storm?
I don't know. Anyway, she wakes up and she looks out the window for whatever reason.
She looks out at the window or the tree in the tire swing that her dad would push her mom on all the time. Her dad put up a tire swing for her mom, and that was kind of their thing. She never once got on that tire swing, but she would always look and long for it, I guess. Well, they had taken it down. She had it taken down, or her dad took it down, or something. I don't know. But she looks out there, and the tire swing's there. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How the hell did that get there?
Did Mira hang that up as like a last tribute to them? Like, what the fuck?
And then standing by the tree.
No,
she doesn't see. I was like,
she goes downstairs and she goes to like check it out. and
she's confused.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe I need to touch it. Is it a fake?
Yeah, like, is that really there? And while she's out there, she sees someone behind the tree. And it's Caleb. And he swings her for a bit, and
I can't remember what he says, but he talks.
She says, I can't believe you're here. I can't believe you actually left Colorado. And he says, it was time.
That's right. It was time.
And she's like, shocked. She's like, you talked. Like, say anything to me. And, he tells her that he loves her. And she's like, hear that? I never thought I'd hear it. So
this irritates me though, because it's like, has he talking to his
face? He went to the fishing cabin. I'm sure he did, because he went to the fishing cabin first. He started reading out loud. I'm sure after that he went to tell Jake, like, I want to go get Tiernan.
I hope so.
But he tells her, I want to be anywhere you are. Wherever you go, I will be there.
Yeah.
So it's
the end.
The end, and then it's 5 years later. They have an 18-month-old baby named Griffin. And I like how he's like, out of all the adventures we've had, tents are where she's the most horny. Yeah. I don't know what it is about a tent that she's always just super horny.
And he like listed all the places that they went to and visited, and I'm like,
stayed in. She went to design school. They opened up a business in LA.
No, Jake always at the California one because Mirai is there.
Right.
And Noah races
for them.
Yeah, races for them. And he's like really up there, and he is promoting them as a business because he joined JT.
Yeah, JT Racing.
Yeah. So they combine their business.
Right.
JT Racing wanted to stay homebound, so they're at the Colorado one. When Jake goes to the
California one, because he says Jake visits California a lot.
Who happens to live in California?
You're right. And then so she sends Caleb to go get the baby, who spent the night in the tent with Noah so that they could have some mommy and daddy alone time.
And he's like, thanks, we needed that time together or something. And
he's like, no problem, I bonded with the little fucker.
And then he went to go get him, and he's like, no, you can't have him.
He's like, make one of your own. So then he goes down to the lake where Jake is fishing. He's like, takes Griffin from him. He's like, I missed having kids around. Caleb's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having another brother and sister if Mirai wanted one. And they both look back at the tent where she's running out of his tent into her tent.
Well, no, she's
like they're all oblivious.
She's like this.
Yeah.
And she pokes her head out. I mean, she's like, fuck.
Like, she thinks we're stupid and we haven't known this has been going on for the past 5 years.
And does she know that she's got your shirt on? I'll get it later. Or I'll go get it or something like that.
But yeah, that was such a cute ending. I loved it.
And they're building a house there that has to have a helicopter pad because
if the kid ever needs stitches, she's making sure he can get to a doctor. Yeah. Adorable. I liked that she ended up with Caleb.
I just wish he had more character. I wish growth. Was more.
It went from
It went from him being an asshole to him absolutely loving him or loving her, and I'm good now.
Yeah, I agree. I wish that his character growth had been more.
He treats her like junk just for her to end up with him, and I'm like, there's no apology, there's no remorse. That's what irritated me. It's like, you grovel, motherfucker, grovel. And then once you grovel, okay, I forgive you.
No, he just went from I don't talk and I'm an asshole with some sweet moments here and there to
I love you.
I talk to you and I love you and I'll treat you like gold. I'm not that person I was 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
No, I agree. Like, there was no gradual growth. It was just like a big jump. He just changed out of nowhere.
And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I completely see how it's possible. I just wish you could
showed us the growth
and saw it.
Yeah. All right. So that's our podcast on Credence. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I guess I have no morals and I liked it.
That's how I felt.
So I had to jump back on because my phone died to tell you that we have decided to take a 2-week break and then we will return and we will post bi-weekly when we return. We are moms and we are busy and we are overstimulated all the time. This podcast is to have fun and it's really a lot of work. So we thought we'd try to do every 2 weeks so we're not just busting our tails weekly. But, anyways, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.